Hello everybody, this is Chaos with KLC Sports Productions, bringing you game number 6 of tonight's Clan War. Let's go ahead and introduce our player. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner here on Frostlander Edition, it is going to be oGaming's Warren. And spawning in the lower right-hand corner, the last hope for Eternal Dreamers, it is going to be Eternal Dreamers Demonizer. So I hope everybody's been enjoying the stream, minus the small technical difficulty that we had last game with the slightly muted mic. Feel free to go ahead and hit that follow button to find all the latest Clan War information and get all the information on when the next Clans Wars are whenever we go live. So feel free to hit that button, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we have been having a lot of TVZs lately. You know, in the last few Clan Wars, it's been very, very heavy PvZ, PvP, and ZvT, but not a whole lot of Terrans out there, but lots of Terran play tonight, that is for sure. Looks like Warren is actually going to go ahead and go for that drone scout, playing a little bit on the safer side, wants to see where his opponent is and what's going on. And pretty much a very, very normal opening coming out of Demonizer. So yeah, we will have to see. I'd say Warren will probably feel safe going ahead and putting down that hatchery first. Hatchery first, I'd say on a 4-player map is pretty common, just because obviously your opponent needs to scout in order for there really to be any issue. It actually looks like Demonizer is feeling pretty confident too. Going to go ahead and throw down that CC first. And Warren actually is probably going to try and slow this down a little bit. Obviously, he's going to get a handful of hits off on the SCV, and a couple SCVs will get pulled just to make sure that the drone doesn't get any more hits on that SCV. So, will it get... No, one more hit! Oh, and the SCV does go down. Obviously delays that a little bit, but overall, since he's not actually... Okay, he's coming back, he's like, wait a second, I want to deny this longer. So he's going to try and deny the command center just a little bit longer. We'll have to see whether or not he can do it. We do have a stopped... okay, so he went ahead and stopped building, so a little bit longer. So far, Warren is going to go in. He actually scouts the gaps, which is really all the information he needs. He knows that he's probably going to be dealing with at least one Reaper out here at the beginning of this game. Demonizer's like, wow. So yeah, so he's going to go ahead and throw down that bunker since obviously Warren's like, YOLO! Oh my gosh. Oh boy, looks like somebody's in trouble. So Demonizer is not studying tonight. So yeah, so Warren is definitely going to be... They're just like going at it like... Anyways, so yeah, Demonizer is definitely probably going to be very pressed to get this done as quickly as possible. And apparently we're all supposed to not do drugs and stay in school. Oh, the chat. Anyways, so Warren's going to be getting out his queens. And also getting his feet up on the way. So it looks like Warren might actually choose to pressure this a little bit. We'll have to see. A lot of misspelled words here. It's all good. But Demonizer should have his wall up in time, I would think. So I don't think there's going to be any type of Ling bust. Although we do have a significant number of Lings being produced here. So it does look like Warren's going to be trying to do a little bit of a bust. We do have a slight lag issue with one of the players. Oh boy. Okay, so the lag issues are done. But yeah, so it does look like we are going to be seeing a lot of 18 more units. Holy cow. So yeah, it looks like Warren is getting ready to turn up the heat a little bit. We'll have to see whether or not Demonizer is going to be able to spot this. Now, I'm not really sure why Warren is going for this. Obviously, he knows that his opponent, assuming that he's been watching either the stream or has been in game, he should know that Demonizer has pretty much exclusively opened up for that reactor Hellion. And actually, the Hellions are going to get a really nice shot off of all of these Lings. And a lot of those Lings are going to pretty much melt at this point. And he should be able to micro this pretty well with a full wall-up done. I mean, Demonizer is definitely going to be in a very, very good position to do a significant amount of damage to these Lings. Just needs to be a little bit careful not to get these Hellions surrounded. No, looks like one of them might. Oh, he's got to be very, very careful. Okay, now with everybody in the bunker, I'd say that this attack is more or less defended, and it looks like Warren is going to go ahead and plant down his third hatch to start getting up, focusing on his economy just a little bit more. Now, at this point, I don't think we have a Baneling's Nest down, as we don't see any Baneling's Nest in the Structures tab, and yeah, so Hellions are going to get repaired, and the Hellions are going to move out and probably try and do a significant amount of damage to the economy of Warren. More lag issues. One of the observers, he's like, man. So minor lag issues, but hopefully this will get cleared up here in the next little bit. We'll see whether or not he drops or chooses to leave. But yeah, I'd say overall, Demonizer's in a very, very good position. Pretty much defended off that small little Ling force pretty well. Hasn't really lost anything. Can't switch over to the Units Lost tab just yet, so we'll definitely do that once this whole thing gets dealt with. But yeah, I'd say overall it's definitely gone a little bit more favorable on Demonizer's side. We'll have to see whether or not his opponent can come back from this. My guess is he'll probably have to go for a relatively early lair and something. Okay, there he goes. So looking at the Units Lost tab, yeah, definitely very, very favorable for Demonizer, only losing that single SCV from that early harassment on the natural. So yeah, I'd say overall he's definitely looking to be in a very, very good position, and might actually be able to get a significant amount of damage done here at the natural, depending on whether or not he can get in. Obviously the Queens are already out at the Hellions, so for now it looks like the Hellions are going to go in, spot the third base, get a couple shots off, and then pretty much comfortably go back, I would think. Might stay out here a little bit longer just to see if there's any drone transfers he can deal with, but overall Demonizer's in a very, very good position, and holy cow! We have lots of production coming up here. Double evolutionary, I can't talk tonight. Double engineering bay going down. So it definitely looks very, very. Looks like this might be. Yeah, we've got marine tank coming. That's going to be fun. So tanks are now in production. Obviously, siege tanks are quite nice. We'll have to see whether or not Warren's going to have a counter to this. Now, obviously, at this point, I think Warren's best move would be to go for Spire as quickly as possible. Obviously, he still hasn't quite gone in there and scouted everything. He still has only seen a handful of units, but we do have our first Marine Tank Hellion combo coming out, which I do believe was scouted by that nice little Ling sitting there on the watchtower. So we'll have to see whether or not Warren's able to muster up enough units. Obviously, he's got a handful of Lings and Queens here at the third base, but I'm not sure if he really has enough. Obviously, the Hellions are going to be able to deal with the Lings very, very effectively. And actually, they're... What? Okay, so it looks like the Hellions just decided that they wanted to sacrifice themselves. Obviously, the Marine Force is going to come in here and pick off the rest of these units. But I'd say at this point, the third base is more or less dead. Obviously, we do finally have an evacuation. A couple tank shots going down on those drones. Yeah, that third base is more or less going to go ahead and fall. So yeah, nice little move by Demonizer. Obviously, being in such a good position, we do have some creep being spewed down here at the bottom left. Lings are going to come in and probably clean up the rest of these Marines being so low. And it looks like the medevacs is going to pick up a handful of Marines and maybe drop into the main. I probably wouldn't recommend it. The medevac's just like, what up? But yeah, so it looks like medevac's going to be speeding down here to take care of this Overlord as quickly as possible and get that third base up in production. Meanwhile, we do have some tanks on the way. Baneling speed is almost complete, as well as 2-2, so things are definitely looking good as far as tech goes for Warren. So we'll have to see whether or not these Lings can actually get enough damage done. It looks like Warren's actually going to be holding off to go ahead and get a very... Lings are going to come in and take out a tank for free, more or less, and actually potentially do a significant amount of damage, only losing one Marine. Oh, okay, multiple Marines. Looks like wanting to sacrifice... okay, maybe not quite sacrifice. Some very, very nice micro, obviously saving that tank and a lot of these Marines. So nice little small defense there by Demonizer. A couple Marines going to try and do a little bit of damage on this third base. But yeah, I would say at this point it looks like Warren is holding off to go ahead and get a hive. We do have a small drop here at the natural, doing a significant amount of damage to this drone line. So it looks like he's going to be focusing down the medevac. These Marines will be more or less left for dead. But yeah, I think overall, Demonizer's doing a very, very good job splitting up his opponent's forces and forcing him to take engagements where he won't trade favorably. So third base is now down, obviously full energy on it, so we're going to have a slew of mules called down to get that up and running. Mutas are out on the field now, which probably is the best choice, but I kind of feel like the mutas are not what he's been going to be focusing on, because obviously he's got 2-2 upgrades already done for melee armor. So I would think that he would tech up to Lair fairly quick and go ahead and start getting out his Ultralisk production, but we'll have to see whether or not he chooses to do that. Obviously, Ultralisks do have a significant cost to them, so he's definitely going to need to get his economy rolling a little bit more than he has it currently. Ooh, nice little pick off on these medevacs. The Marine's going to get dropped down, and the medevac's going to be cleaned up here, but it does look like Demonizer is going to be moving out, trying to do a little bit more damage. Nice little hit squad doing some good damage on the natural. And, ooh, needs to be very, very careful not to lose too many of these units. Now, there really isn't a whole lot of Marines here, so he does need to be very, very cautious. If the Marines get taken out, obviously the Mutas will have free reign on these tanks and be able to more or less take them out pretty much effortlessly. But yeah, so overall I'd say it just depends on whether or not this engagement goes very well. Obviously, muta numbers are stacking up. We do have roughly around 14 mutas, so mutas are getting themselves into really good positions to pick out these Marines a little bit at a time. And actually one tank will go down, so things are definitely looking really, really good for Warren to get back into this. Now, obviously, with only a handful of Marines, he's just going to go ahead and pick up his tanks and get going. But yeah, Warren's got a very, very strong force here with all these Banelings mixed in. So with the Mutaling Baneling, it looks like he could actually potentially take this game and secure this victory for oGaming. Now, it does look... Okay, so Demonizer is posturing kind of defensively. Needs to be very, very careful not to lose too many of these units right up front. These Banelings are going to come in, and actually looks like a lot of these units are going to fall to these Baneling hits. Very nice splitting here from Demonizers, but will he have enough? Tanks going down little by little. I think overall, I'd say overall that was kind of in favor of Demonizer. Some very, very nice splitting of those Marines. A lot of the tanks took out the Banelings, but it looks like the Mutas are going to come in and try and get a little bit more damage done, but not quite enough. Obviously, Demonizer needs to be very careful not to let these Marines get split off like this, and actually, a lot of these Marines are going down for more or less free, and a couple of these medevacs are going to go down. It's going to be very, very close. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose too many of these, but he's trying to take out the tanks little by little, because obviously those tank shots do a significant amount of damage to the Lings and Banelings. We'll have to see whether or not he does choose to start producing more of them. Now, we do have a scan go off at that fourth base now. So he does know that the fourth base is on its way, and he's probably going to try and contend it, but does he have enough? We do have the tanks getting into position. Banelings are being morphed. So with the Mutas coming in, and actually, he needs to be very careful. Warren's obviously trying to get himself into a good enough position. And the Mutas come in with the Lings and Banelings doing a significant amount of damage. and all of these Marines are getting taken down one by one as the Lings just absolutely overwhelm the army. And it looks like Demonizer's going to be put on a big back foot. I think Warren really needs to push this. We do have a single tank shot going off on a lot of these Lings, so a lot of the ground army has been taken out, but Demonizer does have a pretty good hit squad coming in with his reinforcements, so it will all boil down to whether or not good engagement. Ooh, the mutas are coming in, and a lot of them are actually getting taken out little by little. 3 mutas going down instantaneously with that engagement. Not a very good attacking point for Warren. He definitely needs to take his engagements a lot better if he wants to put himself into a victory position for this game. So, creep is getting cleared up. Mutas do look like they're going to start harassing this command center, but it looks like Demonizer doesn't want to wait any longer. He said, I've had enough. I'm going into this third. I'm going to take it out. And that is exactly what he is doing here as he walks in with these tanks and Marines. The Marines are doing a lot of damage to these drones. And the mutas will be forced to pull back in an effort to save this, but will there be enough? Obviously, we do have a handful of Marines sticking out here, trying to protect these tanks, and little by little, the hatchery is going to fall. Now, there aren't a whole lot of units, supporting units for these tanks, so the tanks will get cleaned up for the rest of these Marines. And it is actually going to be a very, very interesting spot for Demonizer. Obviously, he's got a handful of units sitting back at the back, but ooh, this drop's going to get cleaned up very, very quickly. He needs to start dropping out some of those units and get on and moving. So yeah, okay, so it does look like Demonizer is going to be pushing out a nice link counterattack coming here at the third. Going to be doing a lot of damage to these SCVs and these mules. So it looks like Demonizer is just trying to minimize the amount of damage. Obviously, reinforcements are coming in here, and the Lings will get cleaned up, but at what cost? So these Marines are going to come in here and try and do some damage, but more or less get taken out in an move command. So Demonizer does have a fairly strong army here. Now, the biggest issue that this army has is it only has a couple of medevacs with it, so it's going to be very, very difficult to get too many stims off. So he's got to be very, very cautious of how he uses the stims and what kind of engagement he does choose to take. So far it looks like, I'm trying to figure out where these units are headed. Looks like he's posturing out in the middle of the map, trying to force those mutas out of position to do any damage whatsoever. Marines, 13 at a time, marching one by one. Ooh, needs to be very, very careful not to lose too many of these Marines. The reinforcements are getting taken out little by little, pretty much for free. Obviously, the mutas regen very, very quickly. Tanks getting into position to do a significant amount of damage, and the mutas are coming in from behind. Will it be enough? The Marines are trying to get into a good enough position to do aggressive damage. Demonizer's gonna come in, pick off this fourth base, but the question of the day is, will this army get taken out? Obviously, the tank was a very nice micro pickup. Tank is going to survive. Obviously, Demonizer doing a very, very good job keeping his reinforcements up. Ooh, the Marines are going to get a lot of shots off on these mutas, and a couple will fall. And it does look like Demonizer is going to go ahead and push forward and try to do some significant damage. Obviously, the tank is going to get taken down with this small little hit squad, but at the cost of a handful of mutas, which is definitely not good for Warren. Warren really needs to start getting up his muta count. He's been focusing on getting in Lings and Baneleys, and more of those are streaming in here, trying to fend off this army, but I just feel like he's trading so unfavorably. Obviously, we have a lot more Lings getting pushed out here, and actually a couple of these medevacs are going to get picked off for free, which is quite nice for Warren. But Demonizer's production is just ridiculous. 16 Marines at a time, a tank, and 2 medevacs. Obviously, we do have his fourth base now up in action. And it's going to basically boil down to whether or not that base is contested. A handful of mutas are trying to get some good damage done. Several of these SCVs will fall, but with only these units, there's really not that much to contend with the army of Demonizer. Obviously, okay, looks like the Banelings are going to get canceled, and the Marines reinforcements are going to start to do some more damage. Now, it does look like this third base is going to go ahead and get picked off. Obviously, lots of Marines here with a single tank. It's going to be very, very difficult for Warren to continue on going. Obviously, the supply deficit of Warren is significant at this point. A small little hit squad doing a lot of damage here at the 4th base, and I don't know if there's really that much that Warren can do. Obviously, the supply is continuing to plummet, and I think Demonizer is going to be very, very strong to put this into an ace match. Marines are coming in here to the natural. Banelings and Mutas trying to get what they can done. Obviously, a lot of those Banelings doing a lot of damage, but